acting.
You're not Jess.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, you are Jess today, but you're not Jess.
It's impossible to fill Jess's shoes.
It is, and I really wanted to play that song because why? Because I miss her.
Oh,
I
we all
miss
miss
you.
her.
I miss you, Jess.
Yeah, she's
Anyway,
feeling that.
Jess woke up. Jess texted me about 2 in the morning. Don't ask me why I was looking at my phone at 2 in the morning. I think it was at, well, we'll share that story in a few minutes. Saying she had no voice and she didn't think she was gonna make the meetup. And then later she said, I still have no voice. I don't think I'm gonna make the meetup. And then I found you, Alex. And then Jess said, I don't think I'm gonna make the meetup. So we don't have Jess
Back with
today.
me. Second
So
best.
I want everyone to go on LinkedIn. Jess posted something on LinkedIn not long ago. And then
Hmm.
I want you all to just reply under her post and say, we miss you. And it's going to explode. She's going to take over LinkedIn once we all do that.
I think when Jess loses her voice, she spends more time in writing. And so we've gotten a lot of great little tidbits from Jess today.
I know. And did you see that what she said? She said, I finally silenced her. What a
Well,
terrible
she said you
thing.
finally got what you wanted. Jess, no, but there's no world that would be better without Jess's voice in it.
What a terrible thing to say. So, welcome everyone. Now of Work Digital Meetup, episode number 277.
Wow.
So great to have you all here. It is Friday, August 8th. Lots going on in the world. And this episode was Jess, when she texted me, she's like, I'm missing the episode where it was just you and I talking. We didn't have any
That's
guests
really why
planned
she didn't
because it was
come.
just going to be she and I talking. So now it's just going to be you and I talking, Alex. And guess what? I've
What?
got big shoes to fill.
What do you mean?
Well, her shoes. Like I have to fill.
Oh, I'm filling her shoes. I mean, you're here every week.
No, no, no.
I have big shoes to fill, big and beautiful shoes to fill. Jess always wears such fun clothes.
But you have sleeves on.
I do. I've got some sleeves. Yeah. Technically, I'm wearing a dress. Yeah. Oh, Jess doesn't wear sleeves. Yeah.
Technically. Okay, where's everyone? Who's everyone? Let us know in the chat if you're new, where you're joining from. So please type your name if you want to, put your LinkedIn address, and let us know where you're joining from. We have a fabulous community. The number's already growing. Well, Rose is new. That's great. Daryl is definitely old. We know that. Frank, John is not old. Well, Rose is joining from the Philippines. Nice. JC, fee load. Lold. See, JC's so out of it. JC's our executive director. She feels lold. Seasoned attender. Anita, seasoned attender. Thank you. Trish Hot in sunny SoCal. More. We need more names, Alex. Alex, you're in
I
Richmond. You're in Richmond, right?
I am in Richmond, and I'm just in terms of weather, we've had wonderful weather lately. It has not been over 100 in multiple days. It's incredible.
Jen, welcome back. Or Jennifer, excuse me. Haven't been here for a while. Where have you been? Bill,
Island bound. Bill, that's
island bound.
amazing. What island are you going to?
I refuse to be old. I'm experienced. I love that. Coastal California.
I don't know where that island is. Vashon?
Yeah, we don't talk about islands.
What do you mean?
Stacy's here. Awesome. Quite a few times. Stacy, you've been here a lot of times. Come on. That's great. We have a good group. So we always start you guys the same way. Haste, Sharon's here. Now we can start. Thank God.
Rohan's here. Wow.
Here from Mumbai. Awesome.
Central Arizona?
I had an amazing
Opal?
trip to India. We're going to talk about in a few minutes. Opal's here.
Oh, I want to hear all about it. We haven't talked about it yet.
It's great. Opal, hello. Love you. So, we always start with green, yellow, red. Green, feel great today. Yellow, so. Red, not so good. So please in the chat write green, yellow, red. Oh, congratulations. And say congratulations to my friend Rob, also 29 years. That is amazing.
Wow.
We've got green. We have, and please, if anyone is yellow, let us know why you might be yellow, or if you're red, let us know if you need to talk. I always like putting my cell phone number out there. Here's my cell phone number, Please text once in a while. Someone does to talk. I think I'm the youngest here. What does that mean? I think I'm the youngest here. Green, 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 green,
It's
green,
a
yellow.
really good green group. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
it is
mine
good. Feel the
yet.
crunch of final preps for a new semester starting in a couple weeks. Yellow having a tough work week. Sorry, Jennifer. Let us know if we can help. But mostly we have some greens. That's good. How are you, Alex?
I am green. I am very, very green. I feel like the progress we've made on things in the last few months is significant. Well, last month and a half is significantly more than we've made in the entire first half of the year with clients internally. Um, and it's just I feel like there's a lot of momentum and I'm enjoying it.
How about the personal life?
How about the personal life? My family is wonderful. Oh, this is definitely TMI. My daughter just turned 4, and she is a handful and is wild. And it has been the last couple days, especially some
That
of
was I met you when you were 4, and you were the same way. A handful and wild.
the things that come out of her mouth. I can't. I'm not even sure you want this out there, but just she's shocking me with the questions and the things that I'm having to explain to a 4-year-old. So.
Just wait.
Jason, trust me, this is like, so here, so I will share with everyone here, and you can tell me if your kids ask questions like this. So last night, she was trying to prevent me from leaving her room, like when she was going to bed. And she asks me, she goes, Mom, I just have a really important question. What animals eat people? So she's learning about the food chain. And she's like, well, who eats people?
Huh.
So I had to explain to her that, humans have evolved. We live in houses, we have relationships, we have emotions, we have language. We've evolved beyond most other animals. We're at the top of the food chain. And she goes, but we're meat, right? Like, who asked to answer that?
Yeah, I think we'll just move on.
What do
Yeah.
you say to that, though?
Keyword said smart kiddo. Yeah, this
It's like
is
my little girl in her like mermaid tail, which she's sleeping in. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, one of the kids in our classroom said that. And I was like, oh man. How do you answer that? Mosquitoes. Yeah, I did explain that human wide. This is okay now. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna move off this topic because I told you I just don't know how to answer it half the time. So
so
your
Alex,
6-year-old, wait, I have to comment on this. Chris's 6-year-old is calling him bro. I love that.
yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, but your kids are older, Jason. Did your kids when they were 6, did Ben or Alex what did they call you?
Shithead. No, sorry. Sorry. There goes the explicit language on the
Your
podcast.
6-year-olds?
Yeah. Sorry.
Strike one, Jason. Strike three, and we're hanging up.
So now, Alex, your job is to ask me what's my color?
Jason, what color are you? We'll start first professional. We'll do separate. Or how are you professionally?
I live it all together. So I'm just going to give you one.
Okay.
Like I am at the moment at on Friday, August 8th, right now at 12 noon Central Time. I am green, green, green.
Wow. Why are you
Basically,
green?
all the rest of this week, I have been green, green, green for another reason.
Okay, I want to know all the reasons.
And there's only one reason.
What's the reason?
I got that deli belly.
Wait, I thought you said you were green.
That is green. My face was green.
I was gonna
Like
say everything I heard related to that was red.
deli belly. Do you believe I never even believed in this deli belly thing from India? Like I did this podcast live last Friday and I was fine and I fell on the marble. So yes, I actually from a physical standpoint, it's been a rough week. But I don't know if anyone's ever had this deli belly. Oh
Is
wow.
that like a technical term?
Uh, deli belly is not a well, it's a technical term for travelers something. Now I won't go into the word, but
Jessica, he means makes it green because he's like literally
my
green.
face was green.
Like
My face
like
was
the
green.
vomit emoji was Jason.
Yes, exactly. So I anyone that travels to India or Mexico, please, 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 please make sure you don't drink the water or brush your teeth with the water. Um, and be careful what you eat, because it is yeah, it's much different than it's worse than I actually thought it was. But today's my first day back. Got some antibiotic. But why did it take you so many words to explain this? Yeah, and Leah, Leah, I talked to you earlier today, and I didn't explain it to you, but today's the first day I'm back standing. Yes, Indian version of Montezuma's Revenge. Yeah, you guys get the thing. So, but right now I am green because I feel great, which is yeah, which is amazing. You guys can't, everyone, all these people that listen to the podcast afterwards can't see the chat, and I'm not going to read it all, but I really appreciate all of the
I think you should read some of them.
projectile evacuation.
Mhm.
Everyone from another developing country understands this is a thing.
Better or worse than Ozempic? That's a
You're
that's a
oversharing. Yeah, it is. Well, it's better. I would say it's better than Ozempic from a weight loss standpoint. If I really wanted to lose weight,
also free.
this definitely worked. Anyway, but India was amazing. India was amazing, with the exception of that, with the exception of me falling flat on my butt or back, slipping on marble, and the fact that I got this. Yeah, but overall, a great trip. I tried to write about it on Sunday. I was sitting outside in New York City, and tried to write a little about the humanity part of it. And I hope that some of you got to read the Substack that I wrote on Sunday, because um, we're also privileged. And that's all. We're also privileged to have what we have. Um, we can complain about things here and there, and the little things that we complain about here and there are nothing compared to what you see in India. And while we're talking about the privilege of AI, or whether reasoning models are taking too long, um, there's parts of the world that have a lot bigger issues than us, and don't complain about it uh, like we do. So I just have to say, India is a beautiful part of the world. There's beautiful people there. I had an amazing event. Um, I definitely said some things at the event that I felt very strongly about. I know they've gotten some publicity around a number of
That's
companies
great.
that are going to go out of business and things like that. But anyway, it was a great event, and that I feel great about it. Alex, the next thing we do is one big thing. Sorry, that was way too long on my green. One big thing. So one big thing for you this week, one big accomplishment, personal, professional. I think I already shared mine, so I'm not going to waste my time on it. But I'd love you all to put one big thing in your chat, one big thing in the chat that you accomplished this week. Something she said she was green, Bill. I asked her, don't worry. One thing in the chat that you feel proud about this week, that you accomplished, one big thing that you did, one big thing that you'd like to share. And we do this every time just to make sure that we're capturing and taking a second to think
Okay.
about those things. I fed some homeless people. I
That's
love
amazing.
that, David.
Jason.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much for sharing
I
that.
love that. Jason, you know about my one big thing, but I'll share with everyone else. We're really looking inward at Mercer to say, how can we rethink work alongside rethinking HR across the industry? And we have a pretty sizable opportunity to really transform a client. And we took a hard look. We went through every single opportunity within the work and we said, where can we transform this value with AI? And the output is incredible. The ideas that we have, the way the team came together, the use cases and the work that, Jason, you're sponsoring, it's going to change what we do at Mercer. And I love it. I love the momentum. I love being involved. I love the team getting to really ideate. And it's an incredible start. And we've got 6 months of work ahead of us. And I haven't been this excited in a long time.
Oh, that's great. That's a great one to share. Thank you, Alex. And I'm going to read a few of these and I'm going to share one. Company picnic, love the human connection, I lost it, bought a portable monitor to help me work on the road. What a game changer.
That's a game changer, Chris. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. You guys haven't shared enough here. Had an amazing meeting with an advisor yesterday on a new business I'm starting. Tiana,
Recruited and added
Tiana,
two
where,
board
Tiana,
members.
why don't you tell me about your new business, Tiana? Uh,
Tiana is right now telling you about
my company has a new investor, Goldman Sachs Alternative.
Whoa.
Congratulations. I needed a new hire, I helped a new hire, new careers associate intern learn about HRT and Ben admin. She's excited for our industry. Thank you, Holly. Meet a new great client. Thank you, Welrose. Um, my one big thing, while you guys are continuing to type this in, our 136th meeting of CXR. Congratulations, Mr. Crispin. That is amazing. Career Crossroads, amazing, amazing organization. Put the link in there, please. Jerry, had a really difficult conversation with my CHRO. They've been weighing on me and still weighing on me, but at least I got it out and started the conversation. Jessica, those things are really, really helpful. Um, check out Career Crossroads that Jerry just put there, et cetera, et cetera. Tiana, I'm hopefully going to see you in Atlanta in a few weeks. Our India team shared their fabulous learnings from HR Tech India conference. Oh, that's great. Hopefully they said something about me falling on my butt. Anita,
Did you fall on your butt in front of everyone?
let's not go. I did fall in front of a lot of people. No, hopefully not
You
everyone's.
okay?
I have a really bruised hip. It's pretty ugly. But anyway, my one big thing that I wanted to share is, and I hope that everyone takes an opportunity to listen to what I'm about to say, only because I think it's really, really important that we keep things in mind. So, as leaders, we're oftentimes forced to make decisions about business strategy, business direction, and and how businesses evolve. And unfortunately, sometimes when those things happen, uh, they have impacts on people. And I think that what we're watching in the world today, from a business transformation standpoint, the impact that AI is having, the impact that some of our economic uncertainties having, et cetera, it means that business models have to change. And when business models have to change, unfortunately, sometimes it costs people their jobs. And one of the things that my one big thing this week is I unfortunately had to let a lot of people know that their jobs were being eliminated. That's always, always hard. It's always, always very, very painful. It's not the thing that you want to do, but at the same time, you know you have to do it in order to move the rest of the organization forward and look forward to people. When you do that, you need to do it with humanity. You need to do it with a person first. You need to make sure you're trying to take care of people the best that you can. And we're going to see a lot of that going forward. So when I say one big thing, I don't mean that one big thing is a positive, but it's one big thing that I want to make sure that everyone that goes through this and has to go through this over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, as we watch the world shift, which we're going to talk about in a second, automation, operating models changing, and things like that, it's going to cost people. It's going to cost people their existing jobs because we haven't done a great job as the world of looking at the skills we have and thinking about how best to optimize them. So what do? We end up doing FTE reductions. And that's unfortunate, but one of the things that I've vowed in my life in HR is that we get better at that. And we get better at not cutting a whole person just because I don't need 50% of them based on new roles and new structures. So my one big thing was having to let people go. I try to do it with as much humanity as possible, with as much empathy as possible. After it happens, all of this as I'm talking sounds like bullshit, but it's not. It's never easy. You internalize it, it eats at you really, really hard, and at the end of the day, you have to look at it in your role as a business person and try to add humanity to it as well. So uh, I just had to say get that off my chest, and we'll move on past that.
Jason, before we move past that, you were in this conversation with me. I think this was maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. And you and I were at Humana actually, when Matthew Saxon, who's now the chief HR officer of Zoom, was in a role leading employee experience. And he said something to both of us that has stuck with me in all of these tough conversations. He talked about how during the recession, one of the bigger banks, I think it was Capital One, rethought the process around at the time repossessing cars. And typical approach would be to just show up and take your car. But what they actually started doing was reaching out and saying, hey, we both know this is going to happen. We both know you've missed a number of payments. We're coming to this point. It needs to happen sometime over the next week. Where is a place that would be best for you and a time that would be best for you? That would give the person a chance to, do a final run with anything they needed with the car, clear their car out, arrange for other transportation, but also maybe not do it at their home, not do it in front of their children, not do it in front of their neighbors. And while it's not ideal, while it's absolutely horrible, it put a more human perspective in it. And that type of humanity is what I personally seek. And I know you seek, Jason, to bring into all of these conversations because sometimes we will have to make these tough choices. Sometimes they might be our fault, the business's fault, or the person, and choosing to just go a different path based on that. But we can always bring that humanity in and say it might not be ideal, but at least, Holly, I love that. It can be dignified.
You do, and you do your best, and it never goes perfect. And all of a sudden, you play out every possible scenario in your head, and then you miss one, and then you feel like shit, crap. Wow, I'm really bad today. Sorry. For a long time. But anyway, well, I think as we're going through this world of change right
Wow.
now, I would ask us all to keep that. I would ask you also all to keep empathy in mind, and it's never easy. Um, it's going to impact a lot of us. It could impact us any single minute. Um, and at the end of the day, we all have amazing superpowers that have a spot in this world. And I guess that's probably the most important thing I want to leave people with is I'm very confident that everyone that was unfortunately impacted is going to be in a better place. And I know that anyone that may be impacted, including myself, long term, will be in a better place as well. Now, let's move on. That was a deep one big thing. And maybe I shouldn't have done it, but it was a big thing for me to get off my chest. Alex,
Yes.
Chat GPT 5. Big deal, not big deal.
I think it's a big deal in terms of the functionality, but did anyone not expect it? Like it doesn't feel, to me, it just feels like exactly what we expect in terms of progression at this point. What do
So
you
for all
think?
of you that don't know, ChatGPT 5 came out yesterday. If you haven't seen it, uh, Frank said, love the videos. For those of you, please post your favorite video if you can go on YouTube or wherever you saw it so that people can watch it in the chat. One of the things that I think is so important, one of the things, look at John. John says Alex is a natural. Uh, John, we literally, I was up all night last night coaching Alex as to how to do this.
Oh,
So I'm so glad that you said that, John, because all my coaching paid off. But one of the things that I hope people start to realize when it comes to GPT-5 or any of these models going forward, you guys, is the models are so good that what we need to stop doing is measuring the model and measuring what we're doing with the model.
hmm. Yep.
Right? Like if I could beg one thing about these models is to stop talking about, well, is GPT-5 better than Grok, which is better than Perplexity, which is better than Claude. All of these models, anything that's released from now on is truly good enough for what we need to do. Uh, Now, our job is to redesign how we work and put these models into our life. This is where the fun begins. So if I could just take a second in time, let's say August 7th is our go begin. Like we're live, we've got the models. Okay. Now I could have picked August 1st, whatever it is, but the models are there. Now it's our job to start to redesign work, redesign our minds, redesign how we execute, etc., with these models in place. But all these models aren't going to they're not going to be like exponential leaps going forward because guess what? They're already smarter than us. Anyone that's waiting for AGI, ASI, AFI, ANI, whatever you want to say, we're there. Everyone's talking about the robots are coming. The robots are here. Like the robots are here for knowledge work. They're here. So now our job is to take the raw materials and turn it into something. And that's what I would hope we all take away as our rallying cry. So I read it. I saw GPT-5. I'm like, cool, awesome. The videos are cool, et cetera, et cetera. But guess what? We're still measuring adoption. I talked about this in India. I was with a team that said, guess what? Finance beat HR in AI. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And they're like, finance had 92% adoption, HR had 79% adoption. I'm like, what did they do?
What are they doing?
And they're like, we don't know. That's how many people logged in. I'm like, oh, brilliant.
They all wrote job
Yeah,
descriptions.
exactly. Or yeah, they all wrote a poem about how much Jess should wear sleeves. No, all that stuff that's not adoption. That's why I try to talk about the shift from adoption to embodiment. How do we embody AI at the core of what we're doing in an AI first model instead of talking about this dumb adoption number? Alex?
I'm listening. You know, Jason, when you asked about the GPT-5 model, I feel like even if we saw like change that isn't incremental at this point, which to some degree it's, you know, we're releasing models so frequently that they're incremental change, but I don't feel like, to your point, we've transformed work enough to adopt even ChatGPT 3.5. So I feel like we're just not I'm not expecting to see anything more than incremental use cases because we're still focused on automating, on basic capabilities. Like we're tweaking how we do things today with AI. And that doesn't matter if we release AGI because we're just never going to get there. And that's where, you know, you've heard me say this probably a million times, Jason, but this idea that we keep coming back to of the Genie test. I just keep repeating myself and repeating myself with clients. If you take a workflow, if you take a process, if you take anything that you do and you follow the steps, then you look at how you can use AI on it, you're already lost. You're already doing things in a way that we wouldn't just, they're not going to get you there. What we suggest doing is asking what your customers want. And you have all kinds of customers in HR. You have your clients, you have your employees in HR, your clients and the employees in the workforce, you have your business leaders, you have the organization as a whole. If you ask what they want, and then you solve for it, you're going to get a really, really different outcome. And the best way to test for that is if you had a magic lamp. I just watched Aladdin with my daughter. But if you had a magic lamp and you rubbed it and the genie came out like the magical HR genie, which I don't even know what color I picture this is in my head, maybe like a navy blue. And he's got a hat on and he's like, what can I do for you? You would never ask him to process payroll. Like, never. You would never, never had a friend like me. You would never go say, like, go sit in that back room, run those 27 audits, check out those data files. Please make sure that you fix the error outs before you go back in and actually click, you know, run whatever it is. You'd never do that. You'd say, I want everyone to have the right information, the right data, the right, I know why I'm getting paid what. You want the money to be there on the day that it needs to be there, and you want it to all be accurate. It doesn't matter how it gets there. And that's the same thing when we look at everything else we need to do in the workforce. It doesn't matter how long it takes to hire people if we could just focus on getting a productive 100% staffed team. But instead, we're just optimizing processes that just sucked in the first place.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Alex. And I'm going to go back to Anita's point. Anita's question there. So Anita, I just want to share. Can you please say more about your analogy, digital lipstick on an analog pig? Like that little quote of mine's gotten way too much play, um, including in press and stuff like that. But
But it's so true.
well, and I got sick of saying lipstick on a pig, Anita, basically. And the reason I got sick of saying lipstick on a pig is because nothing was changing. All we were doing was still just putting lipstick on a pig. So as I started to see the powers of AI, generative AI specifically with intent and infer capabilities, and being at the 99th percentile of probabilistically correctness, what all of a sudden I started to see is that the analog pig, quote unquote, we're not just putting lipstick on a pig. We're actually putting digital lipstick, which is like a very, very advanced lipstick on a very old pig, a
I
very
mean,
old
the pig is like the beginning of time at this point. So
analog pig. So
you can,
doing job descriptions with AI. Like I beg you to go back to first principles thinking, which is why. Why are we doing job descriptions to begin with? Why do we need to do job descriptions to begin with? I beg you to go back to once a year engagement surveys. Why do I do once a year engagement surveys? Oh, guess what? I could use AI to take my once a year engagement surveys and get an analysis better. That is an example of digital lipstick on an analog pig. You shouldn't be doing those things. So so I just beg. I just beg, 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 beg. And Brian Summer just said it really well. Agentic AI without radical rethinking and reinvention of a process is a waste. I mean, it might actually be more than a waste. I mean, it actually is it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, and by the way, it's going to set you back because what you're
yeah.
doing is you're falling further and further behind. It's actually probably more than a negative, if that's possible. Because what's happening is you're falling further and further behind. Who's doing this well? Wendy, and I know Alex, we work with organizations every day, HR leadership teams where we ask this question. Why? And I try to have these conversations, you guys, about, and it literally makes people cry, but because they don't know, people aren't asking these questions enough. Like, why is your talent acquisition tool not connected to your learning and development tool? Not tool being the technology, but the capability. So why, when you have a job description that's got a bunch of responsibilities, tasks, and skills, am I not tying that back to learning and development in real time? There's zero reason why. The only well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There's lots of reasons why. There's A, old thinking, B, old mindset or old what we call heart set, C, old skill set, which means people aren't thinking about the future. And D, my tools, quote unquote, don't connect. Stupid. But anyway, all that being said, when we think about transform, which is change, mindset, heart set, skill set, tool set. Like I'll say it again, mindset, heart set, skill set, tool set. That's the organizations that keep that tattooed on their arm will succeed. The organizations that just see AI and say, hey, guess what? I can do comp analysis faster because I can load my spreadsheet in and then get this data. Yes, you can do it faster. But is that the right answer?
Jason, one of the we're doing this work right now to define the future of I don't even want to call it HR, IT, finance, a lot of areas. And we've been spending our time first on what are the paradigm shifts? Like what are the fundamental underlying things that need to change, not the technology, but the things that can change in this future. And Brian, your question is, looking at it for incremental versus transformational objectives. And this is one of the areas that I would just really suggest considering. Today, we are all more or less knowledge workers. We get our power from knowledge. We get our jobs from knowledge. Our value comes from it. We are responsible, especially in HR, for delivering knowledge. Think about the HR business partner. The average HR business partner spends the majority of their time giving knowledge to the workforce, answering questions, driving policies, guiding individuals through transactions. That knowledge now is able to be managed, led, owned, overseen entirely by technology. And I was going through this with a colleague yesterday, and we started thinking about it as the technology becomes the organization's memory now. It becomes the connective tissue for all the things happening. We don't have to worry about you doing something over here and me doing something over there and not knowing that there's multiple different onboarding processes being designed. We can create connective tissue across the organization. We can use it to prevent us from doing duplicative work, from missing elements, from not having the right answers. It becomes the baseline knowledge, the memory, the information for the workforce. And so then we can think about what do we do beyond that? How do we shift into wisdom? But if you take that basic assumption that technology is the connective tissue and provides all of the knowledge that we need, imagine how you can just dramatically rethink all of the things that we do in HR when you're not responsible for hand holding everyone through transactions where they don't understand what a termination reason is, or position management, or how the policy plays into this. We can focus on the value that we can bring as opposed to just providing that baseline information. That is a complete unlock when we think about HR.
And one of the things I think that's so important to you guys is that we do think different. So Brian Summer just wrote, the other way to see this issue is, are you going to use AI for incremental improvements or for transformational objectives? If the latter, why isn't the AI rollout project big, bold, experimental, and pushing the boundaries? Too many baby steps for errors. And Brian, one of the things I oftentimes struggle with, and as teaching a class now, I'm doing a lot of work. So Brian, and I always like to show tools. So Brian, I just took your words, pasted them into napkin, and I basically clicked on this little blue thing, and here's your graphic of what you just said. Now, Brian speaks in words that are sometimes too big for me. So what do I need? I need a graphic like this. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to do is to think about that. I didn't just say how, because what a lot of people do right now is they're taking Brian's words, copying them into GPT, and saying, write this as a 5-year-old. Okay. What I did here is I said, turn this into a graphic. And look what Brian's words turned into a graphic mean. We have never had such empower or such power to infer what a human says and turn into something that is very logical. So I beg you to start thinking about how do you use these tools. Alex, I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, no. I mean, Jason, I love it. I vibe coding is like I'm having a lot of fun with the ability to just enter and create apps. I've been doing it for my family quite a bit. And I feel like it's a complete unlock. I've always had enough of an understanding of database design and technology programming to really say, like, I think I could do it, but I always get stuck on the way there. And so this ability to turn things into visuals, to create apps real time, just to like really use my brain and my words to turn it into real life, it's been game changing for me. So I love seeing that example. I wish though, I think Brian, I love the root here, but it shouldn't be an AI rollout. And I think that's where we get stuck is we focus on the technology. And Jason, you mentioned mindset and skill set, but it also has to be like, what do we want to deliver? What are we trying to achieve? No one's here just to optimize for the sake of optimizing. What do we want to do differently? What does our business need from us? And if we go after AI rollouts, it's just going to be that incremental work. It really has to be like, what do we want to deliver differently? And yeah, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Well, no, and and not just what do we want to deliver differently, it's the mindset.
Yeah.
It's the mindset to say, based on my audience, what is the way and what is the best way to deliver in a world where I'm not waiting for vendors any longer. I have every possible tool at my fingertips.
I got a note on LinkedIn earlier today, Jason, from someone who's building a technology. Not even, this isn't even the right way to look at it. And it was, hey, Alex, I'd love to share the solution we're building with you. We're building a platform where everyone can build their own core HCM, ATS, and HR technology solutions on their own real time to stand up inside the organization. You're no longer constrained by functionality that's given to you.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what I mean. I think that's what's so important. I mean, Jerry just said, well, first of all, I want to read the comments. Lynn said the scary part is that many HR people with knowledge used to be HR's worth. To admit that their worth is now of little consequence can't be taken lightly. Not everyone will see that as opportunity. I see a bunch of depressed people coming down the road. I agree with you, and that's one of the reasons I like and want this community to exist. We built this community for a group of depressed people during COVID.
But
I-
Jason, I think what's really important, and Lynn, you mentioned this, and Jason, going back to your big thing, right? Your big thing. Things are going to change. Jobs are going to change. There won't even be jobs, just to be very transparent in the future. There will be uh, canvases that we come into work with and we choose to paint in a different way. It'll be so much more flexible than that. And people will be needed. There'll be jobs that we can't, or whatever you want to call them, that we can't even imagine that will be created. And one of my colleagues always says, AI won't come necessarily for your job. But if you don't learn how to use AI in your job, someone else is going to learn it and then they will come for your job. And so I think that's what's so important. And Jason, just back to your one big thing and really what happens in the future, we have to embrace it and live through it. Or otherwise, if those depressed people get excited, embrace change, maybe they won't need to be in that same position. Maybe they can find value in something new, more value. But we have to be the ones that upskill and bring ourselves through it because there will be work for people in the future. It just, not everyone might have the skills or elements today that they need to be ready for it.
yeah, I agree, and I'm wondering the concept of depressed. So a bunch of depressed people, like and Holly, or sorry, it wasn't Holly that said that. It was Lynn that said that. Lynn, I think this goes back to all of our jobs of staying relevant, which is why I want this community and our community to continue to show new tools, continue to show new thought processes, continue to share together so that we don't become depressed. Because if we're irrelevant, that's where depression comes in. And our job as leaders is to make sure that people don't become irrelevant. Alex said her tool of the week is shortcut.ai. Do you want to explain your tool, Alex?
It's a complete game changer. Just in terms of it. It actually is, oh, excuse me, it's actually able to replace, like truly replace a lot of deep Excel configuration in terms of formulas, macros, coding, pivot tables, large sets of data. And while everyone's been saying that for a while, this has actually done it. And you could try, for example, uploading a spreadsheet and saying, hey, what's not working about this, right? What's not working about my formulas? What's not working about my model? And it is just, it works. It can break it down and then I can compare it to, hey, this looks like it was built by so and so. Here's additional things you could do within this. And I've been just using a lot of organizational data lately, trying to find trends, and it's a game changer for me.
Yeah, and I think that those are all like great discussions to start to keep in mind. So I mean, you remember, and once again, I just want to share, you remember what Brian Summer said, right? Brian Summer said, he's got this thing, where that I have that are you going to use AI for incremental improvements? So while Alex was talking, I went into a tool called Lovable and I said, all I did is copy and pasted Brian's words. And I said, create me a tool to do this based on entering a problem. So my problem is I have a hard time getting people hired fast enough. How bold do I want my transformation to be?
All the way.
Let's say I want it really bold. Generate plan. So here's my plan. Vision, objectives, big bets, metrics.
10x the target metric via AI native workflows.
What are the experiments I should use? What does the roadmap look like? And what are the risks?
Vibe coding.
So I just wanted to show that, guys, because all I did was took one thing that Brian said, I turned it into a graphic. Now I also turned it into a full working application. Now think about how long it would take to do that in not
Yeah.
that long ago. And that's where our
And
goal,
most people are still doing it that way.
right? And that's where our goal is to think about these tools. Think about
Mhm.
what we now have at our fingertips and how we have that different mindset. Hey,
Do
Alex,
you-
there's one more thing I
No,
wanted.
no,
Wait,
no,
go ahead.
no,
There's one
no,
more thing I want to get to
no,
before we. Okay, go
no.
ahead.
I want to go. Thank you. We've talked about the way the world will change and the way work will change. Jason, I want to know in your deepest, darkest places in your mind, what is the one thing that you want to see come become reality, come true? Not the technology, but what's a behavior change? What's a way of working, a way of living? What would you want to see happen in society? What do you want to see realized because of AI capabilities?
Oh, well, you've heard me say this. I want people to live better lives. I simply said, I want medicine to evolve. I want medicine to evolve. I want my 84-year-old mother who thinks she's on her last 5 years of her life to not feel that way, to feel hope that there's longer than that. I watched the number of people in our lives that we've watched die in the last, what, 2 weeks. They're celebrities in their 70s and 80s. I don't want people to die in their 70s and 80s because guess what? They have a lot more value to add. So we're talking about HR automation here. Like my hope is much greater than that. So I'm not sure if that's where you were going,
That's
but,
exactly where I was going.
but
I
like that's where that's what I want. And that's, I mean, by the way, I think that that's very, very possible
me
as long
too.
as the mindset's there going forward.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I want to go to one more topic before we're done, Alex. I'm just going to show a headline. Some of you probably saw this headline. If you haven't seen the headline, I'll copy it and put it in the chat in a second. Oops, not that way. Why firms are merging HR and IT departments. Okay. Tracy Franklin from Moderna is going to be on in a couple weeks. And we're going to have a great discussion on this because they're one of the people that are doing this. But I want you guys to see this, and Alex, I want you to talk about this. 64% of senior IT decision makers expect their HR and IT functions to merge within 5 years. I'm going to say that again. 64% of senior IT decision makers at large companies expect their HR and IT functions to merge within 5 years. I'm actually writing a Substack about this weekend, so I'm not going to go into it a lot more detail right now. But what do you think about this?
I was talking to a neural network PhD candidate, and he said the same thing, but that HR will fold into IT. And
Well, ju-
if you
ju-
can imagine my response to that, I handled it very well. I was calm. I was totally respectful. It was great. I agree that they need to merge because I think that we need to be able to solve problems by looking at holistic resources, by managing the system. But I think that in the future, the technology will once again become table stakes, and the real value will be how effective your people are in your human and machine teams. So I think that there's a huge need for bringing these together. I also think there's elements of finance, bringing the budget closer, bringing realization closer in terms of profit and revenue. But I also don't see a world where we're successful without HR leading it. And Jason, you didn't ask me what my thing was that I wanted to be realized. And I didn't even realize what I would have said when I asked you. But I want people to find meaningful work. That's the thing that I want AI to realize for us is to make it less necessary to have people doing work that isn't energizing, isn't motivating, isn't challenging, isn't purposeful. And I feel like it's possible in the world, but only if we look after it. But if IT leads this, I don't know that it will be there. I think it has to be people first.
exactly, exactly. And it's so you guys really, really quickly, and I say, I hate to throw a bombshell at such without much time left, but it's really interesting. Even though the IT people were the ones surveyed that I just showed you in that article, what's really, really important to understand is that in the four cases that I know of where this has been done, in the four cases, three of them are going to be on stage with me at HR Tech in Las Vegas in September, talking about this. The leader is not the CIO, the leader is the CHRO. I've yet to see one that has the IT leader all of a sudden being responsible for HR. It's been the HR leader being
There's one in that
responsible
article.
for IT. And what's really, really interesting about that is that if you actually take resources at the center, and say every job and every task is just a set of resources. And is it human resources or machine resources? And thinking about how do I apply resources to an outcome and put it in one place, there's a lot of power there. Now, there's a bunch of IT stuff that's still going to have to be handled that's only IT that you wouldn't want an HR person dealing with, enterprise security. And there's a bunch of HR stuff that still has to be handled with that you wouldn't want IT people dealing with, how to manage people necessarily. So all of that from an operating model has to be worked out. And we're doing some really fascinating research and studies on this right now, to put out a paper in a couple months on this topic. But what's really, really important to me about this is not to just think of these as headlines, because it's more than that. This is truly a trend. It's not a fad, it's a trend. And you guys can call it the corporate pendulum or whatever you want to. But the corporate pendulum may have swung in the past because we were just swinging it. The world of AI, whereas we have to make true decisions on humans and machines and who's going to do what kind of work as the organization recasts itself, that's a much bigger thing than just a we're swinging in the wind because it happens to be the du jour. So I just think it's a really important thing that we all pay attention to. I think it's 2026 is going to be the year of this. I truly, truly do, because we now have technology that can do what people can do. Not, I didn't, no one go on Twitter and say I said whatever. I didn't say people can do everything tech can do and tech can do everything people can do. But I said we now have a group of resources that if we put 1 plus 1 together should equal 5 instead of 1 plus 1 like we have today equaling 1.2. And I think that that is going to make a huge difference going forward. Um, Animesh just said HR IT convergence is there in our face. Agents and humans are part of our workforce, moving, changing very fast. Daryl said one of the biggest contributors to that decision is the sheer number of technologies that are out there. Companies are paying double. I completely agree. I agree with that, Daryl, but I also do think that what do we do when we need to have something done? We oftentimes hire someone. And I think that we owe it all to ourselves to look in the mirror and say, hey, should we hire someone or should we think about technology? Crispin always is throws out something amazingly intellectual as well. So
I want to know how Jerry thinks IOPsych will pivot. Jerry, we've got 4 minutes. You want to come on?
operations, HR, and other will converge
We
as
agree with I agree with that, but I want to know how IOPsych will pivot.
we might have to have Jerry.
Jason's gonna veto me because we only have three
Oh
minutes.
no, I'm not going to veto you. I'm just
Be
not
a
sure.
future guest.
I'm just not sure if our executive director can get him on fast enough.
I think let's table that and bring it back to a future one, Jason. I would love to hear. Oh, there we go. There's Jerry. Jerry, look at that picture. We didn't plan this, but that hat is on fire.
Yeah, so it
Jerry, you have 2 minutes. Tell us how IO, industrial and organizational psychology, will pivot.
This
Math
is a
and
dumb thing to do at
thank you
the
for
end of
being
a
here, Jerry.
show. But
hi, Jerry.
hi, Alex. It's nice to see you.
You as
Nice to see
well.
Jason. There's really no way to answer that in a 2 minute piece. But IO Psych won't be the same thing that it is today. But if you think about the convergence, if you will, of technology and an understanding of humans who are in a system, in an organization, in a team, in a whatever, as opposed to the individual notions of skills of a particular person. It's really the skill in the context of the work that has to get done. And as you pointed out, we may not be calling this a job,
Hmm.
but we may have a common goal
Yeah.
that
Okay.
we have as a corporation, as a function, as a division, as a team, where we're empowered to make use of other tools within the framework of what we can embrace, whether it be the inside part of a company or the fact that I can tap, since I graduated from Stevens Institute of Technology, I can tap 5,000 Stevens engineers who work for other companies who might answer a question that I have as
Wow.
a side issue.
Yeah.
And in minutes, if you will, offering different kinds of ways that I can deal with that. So I think we're going to see a rise of community kind of behavior, a series of different communities that we each belong to that we tap, and that becomes our added superpowers, if you will, as we bring AI and as we bring the ability to communicate into problem solving. So how do you
organization.
then study that shit? Well, you have to study it somewhere, and so I'm just calling it IO psych something, whatever.
It's
Ah,
almost breaking down the industry and the organization.
Right.
Psychology is too small.
We need to stop asking ourselves, how do we map the stuff we've always done and do it faster, better, cheaper, and just say, how do we eliminate things? So, for example, rather than how do we find 5 people out of 200 who applied, why don't we figure out how to let all 500 or all 100 engage in a way that I learn, and I can see people surface who may not have been good at interviewing, may not have been good at writing or getting chat GPT to do my resume or whatever. And it's only going to be through AI that we're going to have we can have a whole different level of communication. And I think some people are trying to do shit like this, but it's going to take a couple years for them to prove it. And it's
Yeah.
going to take a lot of change inside of corporations who say, wait a second, my ATS no longer is relevant to what I do. Think about how much money is tied up in corporations, in ATSs, that fundamentally are used to now taking in data that is so bad, there's no way that you can find 5 people out of 200 and be confident. What is your confidence level that you found the smartest, sharpest, brightest folks that you go forward with, and tell the 195 others that you're going to, that you can go away? Thank you very much. Even
Jerry,
if you reject
can we
them, as
spend
Jason's talking about it earlier, with kindness, etc., they still know they could have gotten and competed if you gave them the platform to do it. So let's build those platforms.
Jerry, can
whoa,
we have a little
whoa,
after
whoa, whoa,
conversation on
whoa,
this?
whoa, whoa, whoa,
I don't know if
whoa,
you saw it in the
whoa.
chat, but my favorite from Leah was, wow, is this the keynote right now? We need
No,
Jerry. I agree. Can I come back
no,
when Jerry comes? Can we have Jerry back soon?
we should be talking about this shit in an ongoing way.
We should be. I'd love to talk about it more. I'd
Yeah,
love to.
I just came from
Yeah.
2 days with my members in Philly, and it's really is mind blowing in relation to that. And the only other thing I would recommend people do is Google Johnson and Johnson Credo, which was written in 1943.
Oh, yeah.
It's evolved because the leaders at J&J have evolved it. But when you read it, it's a different way of thinking about employment branding in the way you were describing today, as to what we have responsibility for in terms of how we treat our employees, and our candidates, if you will, as part of what we do. And that if we do those things, the stockholders get a fair return.
Jerry,
Yeah, bye.
it's good to see you. It's good to see you. And you're fired up. Are you gonna rest this weekend? Or I'm not going to now. Like my heart's beating fast.
I get high on this stuff, so you can't, I can't get rid of it. Why would I retire at this point? It's just too much
Exactly.
fun. Too much fun.
Exactly. Hey, thank you for joining, Alex.
My
thank you
pleasure.
for
Thanks
being
for
a
having me.
Thank you,
Peace.
Alex, for being a great co-host. Love everyone. I
Okay.
hope you have a great weekend. Alex, thanks for being here.
Thank you both. This was wonderful. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.